Hello, Writing Rabble. It's your rabble rouser author Chris Everhart back with another session for ordinary people who want to learn to write and publish their own books. If you are new to writing and you're looking for some techniques or some advice on getting started, this is a great place for you. If you're an experienced writer and you just like to learn more about how different people tell stories and format books, outlines, that kind of thing, it's also a good place for you. Before I forget, remember that if you are enjoying the Writing Rabble, make sure to subscribe and like the videos and also do some comments because we are always happy to learn more about what you guys want and if we can be doing something more to serve you. And let's go to my cohort, Wes Nelson here. All right. How's it going, Wes?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Just if you're new to the Writing Rabble, Wes is doing his first draft of his first book, and we're using the Writing Rabble Story Hill to help him through the process. And also, last week we talked a little bit about writer's life stuff, about taking care of ourselves and making our habits work for us. And how's your week been? Or last couple of weeks, actually, we're doing every other week now.
Really good. Got in to see my doctor and mixed up my medication and got some really good advice from a lot of people. And yeah, for whatever reason, it's gotten a lot better. And lo and behold, the inspiration, the motivation kicks back in. So,
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of, there's no one thing, but there's like a million little things that get better or turn around or something changes. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, a whole new day. So doing really good. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm also last week, let's see. Last week was pretty good as far as routine goes. The week before that, I didn't. I worked all day every day outside of my office, so I didn't get any writing done at all. So last week I've gotten a little more on track. I'm back on my regular routine of writing first thing in the morning before I leave the house to do my other jobs. And so I'm making progress again on the books. And we've got, let's see, a couple, 3 weeks. We have Twin Cities Con coming up. So we'll be taking, I lost your connection there, Wes. So we'll wait for Wes to come back. But got the badass girl that we're bringing our comic book badass girl to the Twin Cities Con and many cons around the country. So that's some of the excitement. And let's see if we can get Wes back here. Yeah, looks like he is just kind of. Let me see. We'll wait for Wes to jump back on. And then, so Twin Cities Con, just a typical, local Comic Con. And we're going to be bringing Badass Girl to the Twin Cities Con again. And then the very next day, I'm going to be flying to Las Vegas for the 20 books to 50K indie writer publisher conference. So looking forward to that. And Wes was back for a second and then he dropped out. Um, so let me, as long as we have a second here, let's go through briefly what I was talking about when I mentioned what we're using to help Wes get started with his book. Now we've been through, this is our 21st episode. So we've been through this process, uh, going through what I call the Writing Rabble Story Hill. Someday, again, I will describe why the llama is our mascot. And so what I did was I took what I know and all of my years of research into outlining and story development, character development, and tried to create I don't know if it's simple, but it is a format to follow for, developing a story, developing an outline. And then, you can see here that in the, in the Writing Rabble Story Hill, we have the main, story points in red, and then we've got intermittent story points in black, and then all of the different components there. And at some point, I will be creating some videos that will be more specifically about craft and using the story hill to get your story going. And when that'll happen, probably when I have all of the free time that I've been waiting to get. All right, so you back, Joe?
I
You
think
back,
so.
Wes?
I'm on my phone
Okay.
now. We'll see.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so I was just saying what I had going on, and I haven't really looked at the calendar, so I think we might have one more episode before I take off. Yeah, the 29th, we'll be able to do an episode, and then so we should be able to stay more or less on track
Okay.
with our sessions. All right, so things smoothed out for you a little bit. That's good. I was going to say that there's often the myth of the tortured artist, right? But those of us who have regular lives and families and all that stuff, that is not so attractive, and it doesn't work out that well, and so having the routine or recognizing when there's signs of us slipping into either just less productive behaviors, or if we're prone to anxiety or depression, to make sure we're monitoring that and taking care of it, so that we can, as Stephen Pressfield says in The War of Art, banish chaos from our lives so we can get our work done, you know.
Yeah.
um, Good. So, what do you want to talk about today? Have you gotten your daily or at least some weekly writing done, and
Yeah.
uh, any progress on your story? How are things going?
Yeah. Good. I had a, I, I was kind of struggling with just worrying too much about getting words down and how good or bad they were. So I went back into that old advice of just write the worst thing possible and just get
Mhm.
it down, and and at least like the first couple sentences I'll just write something dumb, but it really gets me into it. Like I was on this part about like what are my character's stated needs, and I just wrote Russ's stated needs are this, and then it was like I was able to then launch into a paragraph which is a little bit more subtle than that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of been
Right.
using like little launch pads just to like just get me going, just to get writing and not worry so much about, because I'm going to rewrite it anyway, but I still have this insane notion that I'm just going to crack out this first draft. It's just going to be amazing. So and it might be, but it's still a rough draft, and I just have to keep reminding myself that. So
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Well, the other reason to get it down on paper so that you or on the screen, whatever it is, get your words done and in there so that you can get toward finishing the story, is that at the same time, you're also developing your intuition, you're developing your voice and your style. And as I've said before, these are things that you can only get to through your words.
Yeah.
You can't sit around and think about what my voice is going to be as a writer
Yeah.
and then make it happen.
Right.
Those things have to come through actual writing. And so God, oh man, I wish I could remember who said it. That maybe it was Margaret Atwood. I just heard somebody quoting this that said, "I find that almost everybody knows what a story is until they sit down to write one."
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
um, And that's one of the, especially if we're story lovers, and, we like books, movies, that kind of thing, is that, um, as when it's well done, it looks easy.
Yeah.
And we don't realize how much work really goes into it, until we sit down to try it ourselves.
Oh yeah, my buddies and I are watching a show. We're all kind of watching it together, and the text chat after the episode, you'd all think that we'd worked in Hollywood for 30 years. Like, we've got this all figured out. Oh, they didn't do this right, or why aren't they doing this and that? And then I go and sit down at the laptop, and I'm like, oh man, this is really
Uh-huh.
hard.
Yeah. Well, that brings up another thing too, is that, and now it's, just making a connection that I don't think I ever made before, is then when I sit down to write a story and I can't, it doesn't come as easily as I think it should, right?
Yeah,
Based on my, unlimited knowledge of story, right? Then I'm judging myself.
yeah,
And maybe I'm feeling like a failure, or like I'm, defective or stupid or something, because I can't, it doesn't just automatically, you know, manifest in front of me,
yeah,
right? So I think maybe there's some self judgment there that, maybe a lot of people don't ever finish their first work, or any work at all, because of that fear of feeling stupid or
yeah,
inadequate or something.
yeah.
And as we, talked about in our last session, we're writers are pretty sensitive folk.
Yes,
Or
very sensitive.
yeah, and we can be very sensitive. So we have to, in addition to, monitoring our regular limitations or special needs, we also have to be really careful to be careful with our sensitive personalities.
Yeah, because what we're doing is really vulnerable. We're putting ourselves
Hmm.
out there in a very vulnerable way, and it's
Yeah.
very scary.
Yeah,
It can
yeah,
be.
I don't know if you've ever done any acting, but, it's like that too, is that, I'm fairly natural when it comes to acting. I haven't done a ton of it, but, I've done some short films and local commercials and stuff, and afterward, I remember thinking, "Ooh, geez, did I did I expose too much there, or was it, not just was it the right or wrong thing that needed to be done at that time, but how
Yeah,
much of myself did I put out there, even writing and directing short films? Sometimes it's like that. Afterward, I feel really weird, because I realize that how much I don't think of it in these terms, at least I haven't before. But maybe part of that is, how much did I expose of myself that I didn't
yeah,
intend to? Yeah. So that's a
yeah.
good point. Excellent. So how has the story been going for you then, as you're
Um,
just kinda kicking into gear and just getting started any way you can?
my main character is an asshole now. I don't know what
Mhm,
happened, but he's really he's kind of a bad guy now. I don't know,
mhm. Okay.
and I think I'm gonna be able to redeem him, and I think I may be starting him off a little extreme in this idea that, or in this notion that he's going to go on this journey and go through these changes. But I had a really nice epiphany last night that he just doesn't know any better. He's been a genie his whole life. He wants to do good. He does good things, but he's just never experienced that flip side of the coin where he's been the one that needed help because everything's worked out for him. Like he's
Yeah.
the guy that will show up if your car is stuck in the snow and shovel you out, but he's never experienced the other side of that where he's been in the snow and needed to be shoveled out. So it's like he
Yeah.
only knows he only knows it from that one angle. And so he kind of has this cockiness and this swagger about him that's, I guess, deserved at this point because he's never, I mean, how else would he know differently? So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to navigate now is I need him to change. He's going to change, but it needs to be believable as well. So That's kind of where I'm at with him.
Well, I'm as I make my first foray into romance writing, and I've been, really practicing it for 6 months now. I'm learning that, and for some reason, this is different than other things that I've written, but I'm learning to leave well enough alone. Now,
Okay.
whether or not that will remain in the final books, I don't know. But for now, it's like, let good enough be good enough.
Okay.
As long as it helps me continue to step the story through the paces and the gates that it has to go through, or that the character has to go through, good enough for first draft. And then when we look at it later, we'll say, oh, okay, so now something's a little bit missing, or something's incongruent from earlier, or for to later, where the story is going. So I
Yeah.
would say don't worry too much about that at this point.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
get the story, get the events, get those main points down.
Okay.
And then you'll figure out how to connect the dots.
Okay. Cool.
All right. What else is happening with your character or your story that's either new or unexpected, or a little baffling?
I really liked using the Scrivener template that you put out, and it leads me to be very obvious and direct, like I was saying earlier, where I'll start on this like stated wants, stated needs, and my first paragraph or first sentence will be so explicit and so direct but that's actually been really helpful, because then I can take that back and then add some more shadow and subtlety to it. And at first I was really annoyed, and I tend to follow instructions very, 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 like, I still look at the Kraft macaroni mac and cheese. I
Yeah.
still read the directions, even though I've been,
Yeah.
looking at them for 39 years, but I still, to this day, I can't make it without it. So when
Yeah.
I look at your Scrivener template, I'm like, okay, I have to do this step now. The oven needs to be preheated to 351 degrees. So, um, but I've been finding ways to pull back from that, and start at an obvious place, but then make it a little more murkier, so that otherwise my story is going to be 7 sentences long, and then it's
Yeah.
that's so. And I'm giving myself a pass to be okay with that, because I can add more words in, and I am adding more words in, but it's not a bad idea to be sort of blunt at first and then pull back. Would you
Excellent.
say that that's a way to do it, or
Yeah. I mean, that's um I imagine there's very few people who can spit out a fully developed book with fully developed characters on the first round. you
really?
know yeah, believe it or not.
Oh wow,
um, as I think Michael Crichton used to say, writing is rewriting.
yeah.
So yes, and as we've said before, we can there you go again. What the heck happened? Significant runs. I'm bandwidth quality, or is West had bandwidth quality? I got the full. There we are.
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I
got
don't know
you.
if it's your bandwidth or my bandwidth.
Might be mine. I've been having problems. Could be me.
Okay. So, yeah, what I was going to say, and I'll repeat it, is uh, we can edit a bad page, but we can't edit a blank page.
Yeah.
So you have to get the story up on its feet, get it, get that skeleton of the story out there, and then start filling in, fleshing it out, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll, you know, once you get to the end of the story, then we can look at it and figure out, if something's missing, where, what, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
So, how many days would you say in the past couple of weeks you've gotten some writing done?
Let's say 4 out of 7 days in the last week, with a really nice bit of motivation last night. So,
Okay.
which is
And are they short sessions, long sessions,
short
variable?
sessions. Last night was a
Okay,
little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, it's starting to come back. So
good. And how does that feel that you're getting more short sessions in than these super, you know, packed with words sessions that you were trying for before?
it feels good. It feels like it feels much more manageable, and it I feel a lot better that I'm at least getting something done versus getting stuck in this guilt and shame of like, well, I didn't write yesterday, so I got to write double today, and then I don't write, and then I'm like, no, I got to write triple tomorrow, and then it just spirals, and then I don't do anything. So
Right, now I have to take a whole weekend in a cabin
yeah,
in the woods.
yeah.
I have
Now
to
I got to
abandon
go
the
on
family.
sabbatical and take the next 3 months off. Yeah,
Right, yeah, yeah, "We'll see you later, honey and kids,
yeah,
bye."
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, mention, or ask a question about?
I went to Twin Cities Book Festival yesterday. I'd never been to that
Oh,
before.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was
Um,
cool. Got the kids got a lot of cool stuff there, and I saw a lot of authors that were I was afraid to make eye contact with because then I would have to then talk to, and it was very it was like I could just feel the like earnestness, and it was like I was fast like I was taking mental stock of like what they had at their booths, and I was like, man, this could be me in like a year, and I was like, that it'd be kind of cool, I'd be lucky to
yeah,
be there. So I was excited, and then I went to a bookstore I had never been to before, and I picked up this book by a local guy. His name is Daniel Hornsby. See if
uh-huh,
I can get it. Um, Local guy. He's not much around my age, so I was like really kind of like motivated and inspired because I was like, well, this guy's doing it. Like I should be able to do it,
cool.
because I have to always be judging myself against other people. So
Yeah.
apparently, so
Yeah, right. Well,
um,
the other thing is if and when you get a chance to go to some writers conferences, it's fun because I've always found my circus family there.
yeah,
It's like, oh,
yeah,
my people who are as insane as I am, or at least crazy
yeah,
enough to try to write a book, right?
yeah,
All right, great. Yeah, it's good to have that inspiration too.
yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, if there's nothing else, I mean, we're clocking in under 25 minutes today, so we'll
Crazy.
let you get back to work and get some words in today, hopefully.
Awesome. All right.
All right, buddy. Well, let
See
me
you,
play
man.
us out, get us
All right.
out of here. All right. All right. Thanks for joining us, Writing Rabble. Despite of some technical difficulties, we got through a short one. Just reviewing how Wes has been doing with his mood and his writing for the past couple of weeks. And um, if you remember, I think it was last session or maybe even the session before, as we kind of broke down how many words a person would have to write, and it was like 200 words a day would get you to like a 75,000 word book in a year. So instead of thinking we have to, fill out the book, the entire book in, in a few weeks, we actually can put ourselves on a little more of a routine that helps us keep the ball rolling forward, helps us keep our our story fresh in our heads, so we don't have to, rebuild the mousetrap every time we sit down to write, and keep making progress. And it feels a lot better. And also remember that most people who say they want to write a book are not doing what we're doing. Most people who say they want to write a book never sit down to write it. So if you are one of the writing rabble and you're sitting down and putting in words and trying to figure out how to get your story put together so that you can get it out there to be read by other people, hats off to you. You're definitely in the right club. And so until next time, writing rabble, button chair, words on page. Bye now.